Hello again, everybody. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com, and this is another episode of Ask the Lawyer. Today we're going to talk about drunk driving, and especially in the Houston, Texas area. And here to answer our questions is attorney Ben Dominguez of the Ben Dominguez Law Firm in Houston. Ben, thank you for making some time for us today. I sure do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Evan.
How big of a problem is drunk driving in the Houston area?
I believe it's a big problem. Here in Houston, we have a pretty big grown population, and it appears that there are a variety of ways that in areas where people get pulled over for DWIs, whether it's a Monday, Tuesday, or during the weekend, and the police force, the sheriffs, the constables are out in force because they want to stop this problem that we have in Houston, Texas. So it is a problem. And then, of course, when people are driving drunk, that can lead to an accident.
Right, and that's where the big problem comes in, is they injure themselves or injure somebody else. So you say, is it a problem all times of day, all parts of town? Are there certain parts or areas there in Harris County where maybe it's more of an issue?
Well, I think it's all over Harris County, anywhere you are in Houston, Texas, or Harris County. However, back to your question about time of day, it can happen at 6 in the afternoon on a Sunday after someone's been at brunch. It can happen on Tuesday morning at 6 o'clock in the morning when someone's been out till midnight and they wake up, they're still intoxicated. Or it can happen on a Friday afternoon or evening at 10 o'clock after they've been off of work drinking some beers at the local tavern. It can happen all kinds and all times of day. Yes, it can.
You have a unique perspective on this as an attorney. In your opinion, do you think the state of Texas is doing enough to help cut down on drunk driving? And if not, what more could be done?
Well, I'm sure the state of Texas is doing their best trying to cut down on drunk driving in terms of the laws, the statutes. But where we come in as a law firm is when there's an accident involving a drunk driver. That becomes a significant case because it's not only someone who was driving and didn't pay attention to the traffic signal, but they actually left their home or a bar knowing they were intoxicated or knowing they had a drink and they caused an accident. And that elevates or increases or magnifies the seriousness of the case. And that's where we come in. We have some good amount of experience in those cases.
What usually happens when there's a drunk driver? Do they often flee the scene after an accident? Do they usually stay around, or is it either way?
Well, yeah, what I've seen it both ways. Obviously, people are scared when they get in an accident, whether you're hit by someone who's not drunk or hit by someone who is intoxicated. And even the person who's intoxicated and causes the accident, of course, they're going to be scared. And sometimes they run off. It could be because they don't want to get arrested for a DWI. It could be because of their status. It could be for a variety of reasons. But the important thing for anyone who's hit by any driver, whether they're drunk or not, is to call the police right away. Call 911. Sometimes you don't know they're drunk until after they get out of the car. See cans fall out of the door, or you can tell they're intoxicated, or they're slurring. And that's why you want the police there right away, so they can obviously deal with someone who's intoxicated. You give them the proper field sobriety test to make that determination.
What are your options if they do flee the scene? What happens then?
Well, the most important thing is everyone has a phone on them or a piece of paper. Just write down the license plate number. If you can with the phone, quickly take a picture. I wouldn't advise following them because, of course, everyone has a gun here in Texas. So you have to be careful with doing that. Call the police, report the accident to the police, give them the license plate number if you can write it down or take a photograph of it, and let the police take over from there. My advice is do not follow these people. It's dangerous, even if they're not intoxicated. That can lead to a controversy or an adverse situation, and you don't want that at all. Just call the police. They'll come in. Let them do their work. They're good at doing their job.
So let's say I'm in an accident caused by a driver who is obviously intoxicated, or I suspect is intoxicated. Take us through what your advice is for people, and is it any different than in an ordinary traffic accident? What is your advice for somebody?
It's not going to be any different because people who are intoxicated, usually they're going to be barely over the legal level. And in their minds, they're not intoxicated. And in their minds, they're fine. In their minds, they're going to wait for the police and they're going to cooperate because now they're intoxicated slightly and they realize they need to be a law-abiding citizen, and they're going to do whatever they can to comply with the law and wait for the police. Only on rare occasions, well, when I say rare, I say less than 50%. I couldn't put a percentage on it, but maybe 25% take off and run. The remaining portion want to prove they're not drunk. Everyone wants to prove they didn't do anything wrong, right? So they stay there, they wait for the police, and the police are well trained to determine whether someone's intoxicated or not, and they can give a quick field sobriety test. They also will look for liquor in the car. They'll ask them where they've been. They'll make some quick determinations. And if they're intoxicated, promise you that the police will take them in and arrest them. And then they're going to have a DWI charge. That's a different issue than you being hit and now you're harmed and you're injured. Make sure that you call the EMS, go to the hospital if you're hurt. Doesn't matter if you've broken your leg or not. If you feel pain, you better go to the doctor because it could develop into something much bigger in the future, and you want medical attention from the onset.
At what point in the process do they contact a firm like yours, especially if it's a DWI case? And do you wait for the criminal side of that to clear up, or at what point in the process should they get someone like you involved?
No, that's a good question. Just like a regular accident, you want an attorney immediately to help you navigate through the legal system. And what I mean by that is the insurance, if they have insurance, and most likely they will be involved right away. And you want to make sure that you navigate with the insurance companies and adjusters so you don't make any mistakes that could harm your claim. If an insurance company has any hint that their driver was drunk, believe me, they're going to try to get you to release their claim as fast as possible. So you want an attorney to advocate for your rights. You want an attorney to point out any landmines that may be in front of you so you don't do anything wrong that can hurt your case. And a lot of times realize that when someone's drunk, they're probably going faster than they realize. And probably you're going to end up with an injury that's a little more serious than normal. At least that's been my experience.
Right. And unfortunately, for whatever reason, it seems like the drunk driver is usually not as badly injured as the other driver.
Maybe not. Yeah, maybe the endorphins that are kicked in from being intoxicated, and then after the accident, they just don't have the same bodily injury as you would expect that can normally occur. At least that's what I've seen.
So, and with any accident, get medical help, contact an attorney. If you're able, or if there's witnesses or other people, take as many pictures as possible?
Exactly. I've had cases where the pictures win the case, whether it's of the car that was hit, your car, their car. Take a picture of where the cars are located after the incident. Just as many pictures as you possibly can, because again, pictures are 1,000 words, and as many pictures as you have, that's going to assist you in proving how the accident happened. Because remember, someone can be intoxicated, but they can still say it was your fault. The other driver, you passed the red light, not me. They can still contest how the accident occurred. So you want to make sure and establish what happened right up front. Just because it's intoxicated doesn't mean it wasn't your fault, and they're not going to claim that it's your fault. So keep that in mind. It's important.
That's great advice. Ben, thank you for your time today. I do appreciate it. Thank you for answering our questions.
Thank you for your time.
And that's going to do it for this episode of Ask the Lawyer. My guest has been Attorney Ben Dominguez of the Ben Dominguez Law Firm in Houston, Texas. If you want the best information about drunk driving or car accidents, or you're ready to choose a lawyer that lawyers choose, please visit askthelawyer.com. Before you take a second and subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking on the button at the bottom of the screen. Thank you for watching. I'm Rob Rosenthal with AskTheLawyers.com.